And
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Oh, we should probably move this microphone.
That's an excellent idea.
I mean, not that either one of us have trouble projecting. Never has anyone ever been like...
Never in a million years will there ever be problems like that.
It's true. Can you guys hear us? Just making sure, because I just a moment ago could not hear us when this was going. Just making sure.
Mute that as much as possible.
Just going to make sure I can hear us.
It's an excellent idea. I really appreciate it.
It's a really great time.
I mean, because every episode, it wouldn't be an episode if there wasn't just, a modicum of disorder.
Hold on, we're double checking. If you guys can hear us, let us know, please. If you can't hear us, let us know. Not that you know.
Jesus, hear us.
No, not that you know that you can't hear us. See, everywhere this is doing weird things for me.
It is doing weird things.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. So we're fine.
Okay, great. Okay, sorry, that was... Oh, this hellscape. This hellscape. Hello, guys.
Oh, this hellscape.
I know, truly. Well, it always concerns me when I can't see comments, just because usually we get a couple of, inflow of comments here. You guys sound good. Thank you, Day. Hi, Day. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. My name is Kristen. Shut up, Kristen.
My name is Tomcat.
I didn't tell myself to shut up just now. That's my internet name. I should be more specific every once in a while, but that's my internet name. Welcome back to Catt and Kristen, where we talk about cosplay and shit.
Nerdery and costuming and such.
And things.
Oh,
great. How was your holiday?
My holiday was exhausting.
Same.
My holiday was definitely exhausting.
It was a time.
But you know something? We made it!
We're
and
here.
You all made it! And we're so happy that you guys are still here to watch us make complete and total fools of ourselves.
Yes, on a weekly basis.
On a weekly basis.
I mean, in my case, it's on a daily basis, but here, it's on a weekly basis. Woo!
We promise there's no wine in the tea this time. There's
no
vodka, there's no nothing.
No, there is not. Not this time.
Maybe just a drop of honey, but that's about it.
We can't promise for the future. We can make no promises. Holidays, they happened.
They did happen, and now that they are over, we get to focus on all of the things that this year is going to have to bring for us, which are nobody knows.
Nobody knows, but conventions.
Conventions are a thing.
Conventions are a thing.
Speaking of conventions, how's your Katsu Crunch going? Or MagFest, depending on where you're at right now.
Yeah, that's true. My Katsu Crunch has barely begun, which is only just going to make me crunch more. So for those of you that maybe aren't familiar, there's a convention in February called KatsuCon in Maryland. It's a big convention. It's a great convention. Katsu's awesome. It's a really, really fun time. But it is a convention where a lot of people bring their best of the best.
They
want to be the very best like no one ever was.
To catch them is their real quest. To train them is their cause.
It's the cause.
And or test or quest.
And to get drunk. That's it. That's it. We're not gonna lie, Katsu's a party con, but it's a really fun convention, and and people that are going know that going into it.
It's definitely a fun time for everybody.
Yeah, it's great.
But one of the things that tends to happen, and we're gonna dial back on the humor for just a touch.
Yeah.
When it comes to any sort of convention, whether it's a really, really, really important convention, whether it's New York Comic Con, whether it's a local convention, there will always be some type of con crunch where cosplayers the world over are scrambling to get any and all of their work as close to finished as possible.
Yes.
And it's definitely one of the most confounding thing. The reason I did that is because I wanted to see the comments. That was the only reason why I lowered the mic.
No, that's fine.
Being a cosplayer is incredibly challenging. We will be the first two people to admit that.
Oh, completely. Definitely.
It is a challenge to constantly have to either reinvent yourself or pull something out from the ashes or gasp, wear something twice or 3 times in the same year.
Yeah, that is weird. There is a stigma against that.
There
too,
is a
which
stigma.
Is
I actually made a status about it before going to I think either going to WinterCon. I think I was going to WinterCon.
Yeah.
And I said, how many times can Tom Cat cosplay as Catwoman before the end of the year? Find out tomorrow.
Find out tomorrow. That's it. And same. I mean, I think my most used cosplay for a while. For a while it was Snow White. I did Snow White for like so many conventions for such a long time. And then or it was like one of the days of the con for so many times. And then Gwenpool. I've done Gwenpool quite a few times, which it's a super comfortable cosplay and I'm proud of it.
And I mean, that's something that a lot of cosplayers will take into consideration. It's that, I mean, at the end of the day, we are all nerds getting into costumes, and sometimes those costumes are not exactly the most comfortable.
No.
One of the reasons why I don't cosplay as any sort of drag character, like, the only time I will do drag for a convention at this point is whether either it's New York Comic Con or it's a convention where I'm staying in a hotel and I actually have the time to do it.
Yes, yeah. Which is one of the benefits I will say about KatsuCon is that everybody's in the hotel, so the everyone's in the hotel or a very, very close by hotel. So like there is that sense of safety where like you can be in a costume for like a couple of hours and then if you get tired you go back up to your room and whatever. Which is just such a time. Oh, I got distracted by Eric. Hi, Eric. Happy New Year. That's it. Hi. That's it. I saw his name. Not gonna lie. We're doing a panel with Eric at KatsuCon.
We are doing a panel with Eric at KatsuCon, and also Tony Rae. Everybody loves Tony Rae.
Yes.
And Alana Leilani Cosplay.
Yes, Alana. I miss her so much.
It's going to be a hell of a good time. We'll have more details as they come to us, but that's something that we have planned for the near future.
Yes.
But getting back onto the matter at hand, the pressures of being a cosplayer.
Yeah.
When you all right, I'm going to sound a little elitist when I say this, but when you get involved in cosplay for the first couple of times, it's easy peasy.
Yeah, well, and there's no stress. There's no expectation.
There's no stress. There's no expectation. You're literally just you're just going in. You're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yes.
You're with spit and vinegar.
Yep.
And then the next couple of times, it's just like, well, what the hell am I gonna do now?
And there's this sense, or at least I feel, and I know that some other people feel. I don't know if like across the board people feel this, but there is this sort of sense of like, what's next? How can I continue to challenge myself? What's the next cool thing I can do? What's the next original thing I can do? There's like a lot of it starts, this sort of expectation starts to mount, whether it's from other people or just within yourself.
You set the bar higher for yourself. That's the issue. When you set the bar, when you have a standard, and you go above that standard, you're going to have to keep on going and going and going and going and going.
Yeah.
But again, it all depends on what you want to get out of this.
Exactly.
Out of this community.
Yes. And
if you want to get more followers, you keep on progressing. You keep on pushing yourself.
Yeah.
If you want to, I don't want to say make a bigger name for yourself. What the hell did I want to say? If you want to
create a brand or create a whatever.
Not even create a brand. Just go above and beyond your creative boundaries.
Yeah, if you want to keep on pushing yourself creatively.
That's something that ends up happening the more you start to go. Like, the more you do something, the more involved you're going to get with it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's natural, I think, with any sort of creative thing, is to keep on pushing yourself, and it's a good thing. But there are certainly a lot of factors that can then bring that to be an unhealthy thing, where it's no longer good stress, it's bad stress.
Exactly.
Because there is something to be said, and this, like, literally scientifically is a thing.
Christina actually just said they haven't come up with a system of measurement for my level of stress.
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate part, is that I think all of us get stuck into this, like, it's relevant right now because I already see people katsu crunching, and we almost get stuck in this pattern of thinking of like, oh, we got to get it done, that we like no longer enjoy the process of like making these things and like being able to step back and be like, wow, I made this thing, instead of just being like, wow, I made this thing in 2 weeks.
Is the truth.
Wow, I can't believe this kept together. Which is me, almost always. I'm like, wow, can't believe I didn't flash anybody
It's
today.
the best thing in the universe when you're walking around a convention and be like, well, how do you make it? I used spit and a prayer.
Yeah, that's
You want to know what's holding on to this blind faith.
This is it. lots of caffeine. You hit that point where you're like, do I need sleep? Like,
what
is it a thing?
What is sleep?
I don't know about you, but I end up reaching
concept?
I end up reaching almost this Zen stress level where, like, I'm so stressed that just, like, you don't feel anything. And then you're not sleeping.
I feel nothing.
I feel nothing.
I mean, that, for me personally, that's how it's been for the last couple of weeks, because to those that don't know, I have been working on my Winifred Sanderson cosplay. It is the only cosplay that I have been working on ad nauseum for the last couple of weeks. My Ursula, I finished in 2 weeks, and I'm I honestly, I didn't know what I was going to wear it for, but I'm like, I just want to make a new one. So I bought the spandex and I made it in roughly 2 weeks. And I'm number one, I'm very impressed with myself. And that's something that we all have to remember, is that when it comes to cosplaying, it is about pushing yourself to those limits, but be healthy about it.
Yes, completely.
Understand that
it's going to take time.
Exactly. It's going to take time. It's going to take certain materials, and it's unfortunately going to take a little bit of money to do it.
It is. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is that for some people, too, like, going kind of back to the, I guess, the following pressure of, like, if you want to build a name for yourself or whatnot, there is something to be said that some people can only continue to fund their cosplays by fan funding, or by their Ko-Fi, Coffee, whatever, or their Patreon, or, you know, what have you. And then there becomes this additive stress of, like, if I don't get enough followers, I'm not going to make enough money, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore, and everything I do is not going to be up to par, and I'm going to lose all my followers, and bye.
Being a cosplayer is very stressful.
Mumbai, Dubai, Dubai.
Every time she says that, I lose my mind.
That's it.
When you have as many followers as, say, Jessica Negri does, or Brooklyn Link does, or what have you, it's sort of just that, not to put any extra stress on you as it is, Eric, not at all.
Not at all. I'm in love with you, but it's not a big deal. I'm kidding.
But I mean, one of the things that does, I mean, is it a number? Yes. But it's still a certain amount of people that are just like, ooh, let's see what they come up with next.
Yeah.
And it just, it adds this sort of extra level of panic and stress, because it's like, I have to impress people. I don't want to do that.
Completely, and I don't think it's unwarranted to feel like there is this expectation from other people to continue to up the stakes, which is great, and that shows a lot of like great love for your work and love for whatever. But making it an outside thing and making it something that depends on other people's expectation is tricky business.
I will say this. If you as a cosplayer use cosplay as a way to make money, then you sort of have the moral obligation to continue to create new content.
Because it's your job.
Because
we're talking about a job.
That's your job at that point. I just Aaron. Be like Aaron, y'all. Start 8 months ahead of time. Finish the day of the con because you kept playing games.
And then Eric said, I never stress. And Aaron said, yeah, you still slay, Eric, lol. #1 link. I love it. But yeah, it's a hard thing, and I think that this is when I think social media can, like, really play into this and can play into it in a bad way. Because
absolutely.
Like, we mentioned this briefly last week, but, like, part of the idea of this conversation came from a post I made last week that got, like, a really nice response that was based around the fact that, like, it can be hard when you're a cosplayer and you feel like everyone around you is constantly working on new stuff and constantly every day putting up work in progress pictures.
It puts a lot of stress on you, and it puts a lot of pressure on you to continue to create. I mean, does it light a fire under you? Does it inspire you to continue making things? And absolutely. But
at the same time,
we all have to take into consideration that we are people.
Yes. Yeah.
We do have these sort of exterior obligations to cosplay. There are still bills that have to be paid. There is still jobs that have to be done.
Everyone's in a different place. Everybody is in a different place. You don't know if that person...
This is the only time in my life when I will ever compare people to snowflakes. everybody's story is different. Everybody's occupation is different.
Yes. Yep.
No two are the same.
No, it's very true. You don't know anybody's sort of situation. You don't know anybody's sort of whatever. And so it can be... I understand, because I feel it all the time, of like, then I look and I'm like, oh my god, but how many cosplays did I do this year? Like this year, for instance, really the only 2 big new cosplays that I rolled out was Warrior Dorothy, which I'm very proud of, but Warrior Dorothy and Sailor Mars. And that was like, that was it. When I think about it, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. I feel like I should have had more. Like there's part of me that's like, oh, I feel like I should have done more. But then I also think about the year before when I came out with like 5 new costumes. I was only really happy with like 2 of them. And like, who did that benefit? Who did that benefit though?
I mean, at that point it's personal, because then you have to critique yourself.
Completely.
And everyone's their own worst critic. And
yeah.
like, I mean, being a cosplayer can get very psychological very quickly. Especially when you're at the game for a while.
Yeah.
It does sort of, one of the things that my boyfriend constantly says, he'll be like, why do you do this? You make your costume, you get crazy about your costumes, then you go and you get crazy, and then your anxiety is just through the roof.
Exact same
and
thing.
I'm like, I do it for the art.
I know,
I do it for the art.
I live for the applause, applause, applause. I live for the applause, applause, live for the applause. I miss Gaga. I gotta go back to her. I miss her.
So all we need to do is me have a Danny Thomas spit take on the air.
That's it. Done. That's all. That is my goal now. I want it to happen like at a convention. Can that happen?
It will. Oh, it will.
Can that happen? Great. I gotta like really up my pun game then.
Please, that's all I need.
That's it.
Just if you're ever at a panel with the 2 of us, sit in the front row. You may end up with a little bit of Tomcat spittle on you.
We never said it wasn't a splash zone. All right. Okay. I feel like I had a point and then I just lost it.
But... You went for the. You lived for the applause.
I did. Yes, I went
there.
with my joke. My life. There's a big thing, I think, also, and this exists, again, a lot of the issues we talk about in here exist in many different communities, not just the cosplay community. But there's also something to be said also for, like, it's constantly comparing yourself to other people. That's the other thing, too.
Yes.
Is that there is also part of it where we have to stop comparing our work to other people's work to, like, there's nothing wrong with looking at someone's work and being like, wow, I really want to get to that level. But when you start using that in a self-deprecating way, then that's not healthy anymore. You know, that's not a goal anymore.
But I mean, here's then, but Kristen.
Tom?
Is there a healthy way to cosplay?
I feel like there is, but I feel like none of us live that life. All of us are basket cases. Stay tuned.
All of us are basket cases at the end of the day.
I am.
We know you are.
I am. God bless.
Is there a healthy way to cosplay? Yes, there is. There is a very healthy way to cosplay where you just don't sweat the small stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
If you don't have enough resources, if you don't have, I don't want to say skill, but I'm going to say it anyway because contradiction cat all the way.
Yep.
If you don't have that skill, you can't. Yeah. I don't want anybody to hurt themselves trying to make something work.
Right.
Specifically when it comes to armor building and use of heat gun, because that's how accidents happen.
Oh yeah.
That's the other thing that a lot of cosplayers fail to sometimes take into consideration is the amount of pain that one endures when making a certain cosplay.
Oh, definitely. These hot glue gun burns will never go away.
Oh, no.
And they almost always happen at the stupid moment when you've been up too late, you've been working on this cosplay for way too long, and this is your body telling you, hey, you're not paying attention. You just got hot glue on yourself. You're dumb. Go to sleep.
And, I mean, are there those out there that don't stress over these things? Absolutely, because
definitely
they've achieved that sort of nirvana where it's like, if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, they don't let that get to them. And to those that don't let it get to them, God bless you.
Oh, definitely.
Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, and please keep on sharing your tips with people. Like, Eric, I just want to know now how you don't stress about it. Like, I would love to know, genuinely, would love to know what your tips for that are. Is it that you don't crunch ever? That you're, like, really good at managing your cosplays and, like, working on them over a long period of time? Is there, like, I would love to know these things because this is something that I think we can all work on. Because I think the fact that we all join join together, while it's like kind of cool because it's like this camaraderie of like we're all Katsu crunching, it's also all of us kind of enabling everybody's like stressful behavior on some level. It always reminds me of theater hell weeks. That's always what cosplay.
Tech weeks.
Yeah, tech weeks. That's always what it reminds me of.
That's all it ever is. It's because you're constantly moving and moving and moving and moving. But I mean, if you move too fast, and you hit the brakes real hard, that's how accidents happen, kids.
It's true, and I mean the countless times that I've like known people that have like not finished their cosplays and had to bring all their stuff to a hotel to finish and do all this other stuff. Then it's like I just can't. I'm lucky that I've never reached that point where I've had to bring all of my stuff with me and finish a cosplay at a con. Because that must be so stressful, and there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way.
Actually, I'd like to point out my darling Aaron's comment. We stress for the con, but the photogs stress so hard after the con.
Yes.
Crunching in so limited time to push out photos with edits while convention is still relevant.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yes.
Yeah.
Photographers go... Con goers go through hell for the convention. Photogs go through hell after the convention.
And everybody wants their pictures so quickly. And not only is it like relevancy for the con, but also you have cosplayers that are like, I want my pictures. I want to show off this thing that I finally finished, which is like warranted. But on the other end, like you have, I mean, we have so many photog friends like that go through
the same thing.
And that literally will do like 30 or 40 shoots a day at each one of these, at these conventions. So like by the end of this, they're left with hundreds upon hundreds of photos, and it's that demand. I can't even imagine. That must be a lot of pressure on one person.
Your BFF commented. Why don't you read it?
What? No, I actually do stress, haha, but I always stop and adjust plans and my own goals if my happiness starts being drastically compromised. And that's smart. That is the smart way to do it. Is not being so. That's the other thing is we all like will share what our cosplays are going to be, and then I think that's another way of like sort of it. You can look at it
when a cosplayer posts what they're going to work on. There's a part of their brand that just says, "You ain't gonna get that shit done. What you talking?
Exactly.
What you saying to yourself?"
And then there's a part of you that's like, "No, this will inspire me to get it done because now people are expecting it, and now I want to get it done for the people."
When I first started cosplaying, I made a list of characters that I wanted to cosplay as. I think out of that list, I may have cosplayed as 3 people.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's still relatively impressive, but that's what happens when it comes to cosplaying. I mean, you have an idea, for 2 seconds, and then it's just like, move on to the next thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Yeah.
So here, the question that we all ask.
Yes.
Why do we do it if it stresses us out so much?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the question I think every cosplayer asks leading up to a convention. And then once the convention happens, it's just like, this is why.
Exactly.
Because you get to see your people. You get to express yourself. Don't repress yourself. You get to hang out with photographer friends. You get to hang out with, just meet new people, meet new faces, make new friends and whatnot. And that's one of the reasons why we still do it.
Yep, totally.
It's because it's about self-expression. Yep. It's about inspiring others to do the same thing. It's about inspiring creativity.
Yeah, completely.
I feel like this is a commercial for PBS.
I know, it's true. Draw your happy little trees. Happy little trees.
Thank you, Kristen Ross.
Here, there's only Afro coming soon. That's it. We're on the way.
That's it.
We can go the distance.
Fearless, proud, and strong.
Exactly. 0 to hero. We keep on joking, but
we keep on joking, but this is honestly a very serious topic.
Because you know what, it also makes me like whenever there's this weird sense that I have when I'm not going up to a con and I see everybody else crunching, where I'm like, oh, I feel relieved that I'm not going through that. And
I wonder what all the poor cosplayers are doing this weekend.
And I'm sort of like, I feel relieved that I'm not doing it, and then also at the same time I'm like,
I wish I was there. Why don't we all go and do that?
No, it's like it's this weird duality. Like, we obviously all love this, but it's a weird time. We're all bizarre, y'all. This is weird behavior for everyone. And it's true. My boyfriend, every time a con is coming up, he's like,
why do you do it? You stress out so much. Why you're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
The other thing that comes with being a cosplayer, and I mean, this falls in line with gaining more of a following, gaining more of a presence, is the commentary that comes with being a cosplayer.
Woo!
Now, doing a cosplay once, going to a convention once, fine and dandy, live your dreams.
Yep.
I will always say, go to a convention once in your life. It is a life-changing experience.
Yeah, totally. Completely.
When you do it as often as me and Kristen do, we open ourselves up to comments. I won't say criticisms, because here's the big difference between a comment and a criticism.
Yep.
A comment is, that's ugly.
Yep.
A criticism is, I would have used a different paint.
Yeah. Yes. Very big difference. Very big difference.
One of the things that I actually said on a picture of myself, hilariously enough, because someone had said, you should be... no, it wasn't even about myself. It was in another picture saying how we shouldn't receive negative comments on pictures. One person said, oh, well, you should always be open to criticisms and critiques and comments.
Yes, that's the best.
And me and my darling Dominique Sky, I love her to fucking pieces. Oh my God, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Me and her both pretty much agreed that as a cosplayer, we want to hear criticisms and comments from other cosplayers.
Yeah, within the community.
You wouldn't be... You wouldn't want to tell a chef... As a cosplayer, I wouldn't tell a chef how to prepare a dish because the chef knows what they're doing. Yes. I wouldn't want to hear from a chef how to cosplay because it's not what they do. Yeah. I would much prefer to hear criticisms from my peers and people within my field. Yes. Rather than the average Joe Schmo that feels, oh, well, it's not character accurate. That doesn't look right. I'm going to stick my nose in the air because I'm a fanboy and I know what's
Well, and that's the thing. And it's really interesting that you bring that up, too, because when I think about it, any bad comment I've ever gotten has almost never been from a cosplayer. It's always been from a casual Instagram goer, a whatever who's following a sexy account.
A nobody.
A nobody who's telling me my tits aren't big enough.
You could borrow mine.
That's it. You know what? Listen, these toddies are great. He's missing out, and he won't ever see them. So that's it. Sorry, boo.
Oh my goodness! But that is something that cosplayers sort of open themselves up to. They open themselves up to these sort of mocking accounts and these mocking people. Yeah. And it's one of the reasons why we have these panels about body positivity. Yeah, how you should be able to continue to freely express yourself. And I wish, like hell, we didn't have to have these things. But
completely.
It keeps us employed.
It's true. Here we are, drinking coffee.
Drinking coffee.
I mean, it's tea, technically. So
and
I lied. I lied.
Drinking wine, drinking tea, eating pizza.
That's it. Done.
That's what I was waiting for. What is going on in the comments section? I'm interested.
Let me see. There was... I don't crunch. If it's not done, I don't bring it and maybe skip the con. That's also a thing. It depends on if you have travel plans.
Yeah, if you have travel plans, if you've already bought the badge, if you've... Now, the pressures of being we could literally talk about the pressures of being a cosplayer for a very long time. Yeah. The next topic that I would like for us to talk about... Yeah. Badge buying.
Ooh! Like just the stresses of it in general, the stresses of buying a badge, whether you should buy a badge, what's happening.
Do you not remember the amount of craziness that happens the days before the tickets go on sale for certain conventions?
Yes, I do.
We're looking at you, New York Comic-Con.
That fucking virtual queue. Virtual my ass. That's...
May the odds be ever in your favor.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, I'm writing that down. Badge buying.
Like that is incredibly exhausting.
Yep.
I think when it comes to stress and conventions, badge buying runs a very close second to the actual act of cosplaying.
Yes.
Because you have the you have the ideas, you have your cosplays ready to, most of the time you have your cosplays ready to go for these conventions, and then time to buy badges, and then it's just like, you blink and they're gone.
Yeah, and it's also this weird feeling too of like, again, part of the reason we go to these conventions is to see our friends, and then you feel like you're missing out on something. You're like, what if I'm not going to get to see these people? It might be the only time you get to see these people.
Constantly raising your blood pressure. That's all it is.
Also, Day said something that I absolutely love. Also, stress happens when you're trying to get a cosplay together for a cosplay photo shoot group. I can tell you how many times I can't tell you how many times I'm crying over trying to get things done on time for them. Yeah, cosplay groups can be very stressful.
Yes, they can be.
Especially if you're committing to like some huge armor build group or some like big extravagant thing. That's got to be, so far the only big groups I've been a part of is my Sailor Moon group, and we like know what we're doing months in advance.
Oh,
so it's like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I tip my hat to those over the top groups where they do these elaborate cosplays, like Jessica Negri's Valkyrie Eevee group,
or same thing like armored Disney princesses,
armored Disney princesses, the Slave Leia Disney princesses.
Yep.
The amount of work that goes into creating these pieces.
And that all fit together also.
Yes.
There's this stress too of like, you might have people that are in different levels or like different skill levels, different years of cosplay, whatever, in the group. And then it gives everybody a stress to like, it gives those people a stress to like want to live up to that. It gives the other people a stress of like, oh, is everybody going to look the same? Is it like, it's a weird like algorithm of things. That's it. It's a bizarre, I don't know. Yeah, that's hard.
It just all rolls back to the question, like, if it stresses you out so much, why do you do it? And I mean, we sound like everybody's mother. We sound like everybody's mother. And then, like, once you're at the convention,
and you're all together,
and you're partying, and you're laughing, and you're just having a good time, it's like, well, there's the reasoning behind it.
Exactly.
That's why we do it at all.
Completely. Yeah. We just want to come up with I would love if we came up with just a list of ways that we could all stress ourselves out less at conventions. That's it.
If we could de-stress. If other people made our costumes.
Oh yeah.
If other people bought our badges.
See, for me that would stress me out more. I feel like if other people were making my costumes.
Oh well, relying on other people can be quite
control freak.
Control
freak. That's it. That's not ashamed to say it.
I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah. Yep.
If we all had the powers of the three good fairies from Sleeping Beauty,
it's true.
We could just wave our magic wands and bippity boppity boo, we're done.
Yep.
Just the badges are bought, the costumes made. We don't have to worry about anything.
No.
I think when it comes to stress, a lot of it has to do with deadlines.
Yes, yeah. Well, because we have strict deadlines.
A lot of it has to do with deadlines and time management. Yeah. And, being a cosplayer definitely helps people in the real world.
Definitely.
It helps people when it comes to making articles of clothing, time management, social skills.
Yeah.
Learning how to talk to your fellow man. What's happening?
No, there were just more comments than I thought.
Why is it not doing that? I don't understand. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone.
No, I haven't.
Thank you.
What's
Thank you for that.
You're so welcome. I'm doing a JSA shoot this weekend. I'm Superman, but it's a different suit, so I'm making a new suit for this shoot. Going to work on the belt after this show. Yeah, and see, people are always working on stuff, and it's like, I commend you for that, because I also, listen, I think this is a thing, too, and this is something that I actually this was a thing that I learned in 2017, and I will say that while I left the year and I was like, oh, wow, I only made 2 cosplays, I'm really relieved that I took a break at some point, because I think it was a really healthy thing.
In all honesty, sometimes
it was a really healthy thing to take a break.
Sometimes taking a break can honestly be the difference between a successful convention and a not so successful convention.
And maybe you are the sort of person that doesn't need a break and you're able to keep that continually flowing and keep that continually going, and that's amazing. But I think for a lot of us, we can get a little bit wrapped up in all of this, and I would just encourage you that if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by all of it, take a break. skip a convention, take a breather. Like, that's something that I did this past year. It's something I will say that I did this past year, and it didn't slow me down at all. It didn't slow me down. I started doing this. I started doing so many other things, and, like, it didn't take away from any of my cosplay stuff. It didn't make me any less of a cosplayer. It just meant I was taking a break, and I wasn't stressing out going to a convention every weekend.
That's something that I'd like to point out. This is something that we discussed last week, and I'd like to just bring it up again. Yeah. If you go to one convention and you cosplay, you're a cosplayer.
Yeah.
If you go to 7 different conventions wearing 4 different cosplays each convention, you're a cosplayer.
Yeah.
You're nuts, but you're a cosplayer.
You've done the thing. We get it. We get it.
Congratulations. If you go to...
You wore one at morning and night? Two different? Okay. All right. I got you. Who's spiking your drink? Okay. I see you, Karen. I just said a random name. There isn't actually a Karen. It just occurred to me that you have a very close friend named Karen.
Yes,
I'm not speaking to you, Karen. I want to meet you, Karen, but like that's... Never mind. We're moving on. Hopping onto a segue.
If you go to one convention a year and you only cosplay 1 or 2... You're a cosplayer.
You're a cosplayer.
I don't want people to like feel that being a cosplayer is the end all be all. It's gonna clear your skin. It's gonna pay for your debt. No, no, it doesn't work like that, sweet cakes.
No, no boo. This is not a one-way ticket to like
Palookaville.
Yeah, what'd you say?
Palookaville.
What is Palookaville?
I have no idea. I remember it from On the Waterfront.
Oh, okay. There we go. All right. Well, there we go. I'm trying to see.
We could be a contender. What is it saying on? I'm interested in the. I don't know what's happening with the comments. I don't know either.
I think that's it though, actually. Currently being potato before MagFest, and that's how I feel right now. I'm like, I'm a potato before KatsuCon, and like, part of me knows that I'm setting myself up for like minor disaster. Like, we're not close enough yet where I'm like, it's disaster, but I'm like, minor. Like, I am currently you're working on Winifred. I'm currently working on one of my biggest builds ever, which is Lady Mifa from Breath of the Wild.
I'm proud of you so much for even attempting to do it.
You know what? And here's the thing. I'm excited about it, though, because as a cosplayer, I feel like it is the next thing. I've never made a headpiece like that before, but I can make a bodysuit. I know I can do that. I know I can do a couple of other things. Like, I know that I can work with Warblood. I can work with whatever. And so I don't feel like it's a totally unrealistic goal, but it's definitely challenging. And I think that's great.
This is one of the things that we're talking about. We're pushing ourselves to do things that we're not used to.
Completely. Yeah.
Being able to make something from nothing is one of the cornerstones of American education. Yeah. And I feel that more people should focus on being able to use a sewing machine and be able to create these sort of elaborate costumes.
And I'm sure that you've run into the situation in like the real world before where you've made something really simple to you that seems really simple to you. Somebody's been like, How did you figure out how to make that? How did you figure out how to... And, like, that's great. Like, that's a really cool thing. And it's not like we're building unimportant skills here. They really do translate. Like you said, they translate into time management skills. They can translate into social skills, into how a button falls off of your jacket. Congratulations.
You know how to sew it on.
Yeah, you no longer have to pay that whatever fee to go and get your button fixed.
There was actually one of my very favorite things that I actually had to do for a job that I was working. Yeah. There was a zipper in the back of a dress that was it wasn't zipping up and it kept on getting caught.
Oh, yeah.
So I told them, I'm like, listen, I will replace the zipper. I'll buy a new one. Mm-hmm. I'll take it, I'll sew it, and I'll put in a new zipper. And sure enough, that's exactly what I did. I let it out a little bit. Because one of the problems was it was a very form-fitting dress, and the zipper just kept on getting caught on the
back. Yeah.
So rather than
setting up for failure,
rather than setting up for disaster and have the poor actress's entire back showing, I replaced the zipper, and it was one of those moments where I was like, damn.
Yeah.
I learned that by doing by being a cosplayer.
Yeah, by learning all of this and by doing this over and over again and by learning what works and learning what doesn't and just figuring it out. And that's another thing to be said, is thinking outside of the box and having to figure things out. I can't afford to do this thing. What can I do that's going to look as similar to this or is going to work instead of that thing? Like I talk about all the time, my friend Tiffany, she's an amazing cosplayer. All of her cosplays look absolutely incredible, and she's the master of budgeting cosplays. I can't. Eric, please stop trying to flirt with me. This is really too much. Bye. I'm really excited about the MIFA. If you're doing Link, please let me know at any point, because I love you, you know. So, but yeah, that's you keep on throwing me off of my thought. I was in the middle of a good monologue, and then you pointed out Eric to me, and now I'm flustered.
I do that all the time.
Anyway.
Any hoozle.
That's that.
It builds up these skills that we definitely can use in everyday life.
Yeah.
And you know, we as cosplayers know that it can be incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
Usually what happens, we've talked about what causes the stress. Yeah. Now let's talk about what we can do to de-stress.
Ooh, yes.
Usually what ends up happening is that if you feel overwhelmed, put the cosplay to the side and go for a walk.
Yeah, that's huge.
Go for a walk, drink some water, take a cat nap.
Yeah.
I take several.
Take a bath, take a shower, just take some time for yourself that is not around any crafting materials. Because again, and that's the thing is, I have always made my biggest mistakes to costumes when my stress levels have been like at the boiling point. When you're at the boiling point, then you're like, fuck it, whatever like works and
when you do that, you end up screwing up.
Exactly. You end up screwing up. You're not benefiting yourself. It's going to be something that's going to fall apart at the convention. It's going to stress you out later. One of the things that
ended up happening with me when I was just recently making my Winifred Sanderson costume.
Yeah.
That jacket was the biggest pain in the neck. Because it
looks beautiful, though.
It looks great and it looks gorgeous, but I had to meld the pattern pieces together. Yeah. I had to sew interfacing for the first time, which was not a fun time.
I avoid interfacing at all costs.
And there's still so much that I have to get done with it. And looking back at it, like there are still some areas where a seam is undone, and I'll just have to do a whip stitch with that. But being able to say that I made it.
Yeah.
Being able to say that I did it. Mm-hmm. However, putting everything together, there were nights when I would just lay out all the pieces and stare at it.
Oh, yeah, completely.
And it would mock me every time. And then I was just like, at this point, what have I got to lose? I stressed myself out to a point where I'm comfortable just going balls to the wall with it.
And then there's also something to be said for just like, literally, I remember when the time was coming for, I made my Sailor Mars Fuku in 2 weeks. That was the thing that I did, the whole thing, bows, everything. And I remember I was staring at it and I was like, I had made the skirt because I have like pretty long legs and a short torso. And I was like, okay, we're going to have to be really careful about the skirt length. And so I made the skirt much longer than it needed to be. And just thinking to myself, all right, we're going to have to hem this to the correct length at some point. So I made it way too long. I literally made it so that it was like almost at my knees just because I was like, I had the extra fabric. And I was like, I know my body. I just know that if I go by the measurements that were laid in front of me.
That's the other thing you had to take into consideration when it comes to getting your measurements correctly.
Yeah.
That can just
screw you up completely.
Can mess you up completely.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was one of the things that I myself was worried about. I was worried I didn't have enough fabric.
Yeah.
And it's just these little things that you sort of have to take into consideration. Like, if it can't be fixed,
exactly,
it can't be fixed.
But
if it can, then great, kudos, keep at it. But just like you said, take that time to, if it gets too much, focus on it for maybe 5 more minutes. Yeah. Give yourself that little gap.
Yep.
I don't know why the hell my throat is starting to do funny things.
Yeah.
But set it aside for set it aside.
Yeah.
And just watch something mindless.
Yeah.
Go out for a walk. Go get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Get a fresh perspective. Watch television. Just do something where your mind isn't squarely focused on the act itself.
And don't take yourself out about it. Like, that's the thing that I was like gonna say about this cosplay is like I had taken all the appropriate steps and then I was looking at it and I was like, oh, this is where I could really fuck it up. I was like, once I start cutting it, this is where I could fuck it up. And I stared at this thing and I was like looking at it and I was like sort of avoiding it and working on other things while I was like kind of nervous about, like, I started making the bows and I started making but like at some point or another, you gotta hem the damn skirt. And like when I ended up hemming the skirt, It's the easiest part of the entire cosplay.
That's usually what ends up happening.
And I had like psychologically completely had convinced myself I was gonna fail before I even started it. And like, I'm very proud of that cosplay. Like, it's my most durable cosplay, I think, to date. Like, that's gonna last me for a while, which is great. But it's we all psych ourselves out and we put so much pressure on ourselves. At the end of the day, it is a costume. It's a costume. And I totally understand why we all feel so passionately about what we're doing. But like, you're gonna get it done. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. And if it reaches the point where your happiness is really being destroyed by this costume, that's a problem. And maybe we need to take a step back and rewear a costume.
That's called an abusive relationship.
Yes,
and should be avoided at all costs.
Tell cosplay you need a break. That's it. Just for a minute, or rewear a cosplay. It is not the end of the world.
It isn't the end of the world
No.
if you have to dive back into your closet and find something. I had to do it once before it was a diabolical situation.
We all survive and continue. That's it. I'm gonna have to figure out I'm gonna have to rewear one of my cosplays for KatsuCon, I think, because I'm gonna be rolling out 2 new cosplays. I think Lady Mifa and Princess Mars. We're gonna see what I get done.
Like
that's
honestly where we're at right now.
I
know for certain that I am going to be wearing. I'm pretty sure 4 new.
That's great.
4 or 5 new cosplays for KatsuCon. I'm not sure how any of it is gonna go.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have my focal points.
Exactly.
I finished my Ursula. I'm on the way to finish Winifred Sanderson.
Yep.
And anything else that falls in line with that, then bully for me.
That's my thing. If I get Mifa done and I get Princess Mars done, and then there is still time to work on some stuff, then absolutely I'll work on some stuff. But I'm certainly not at the point where I am going to compromise the integrity of those cosplays to work on other things. Like, those are the priority. One of them's a group cosplay. One of them's my own personal goal.
That is the other thing that I really want us to like focus on when it comes to this conversation.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a photographer. It doesn't matter if you're a cosplayer.
Yeah.
Take time for yourself.
Totally. Yeah. Completely.
You don't owe anybody anything.
Nope, not at all.
If you need time, you need time. The people that want those photographs can be patient.
Yes. Yeah.
Patience is a virtue.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all I have to say on this subject.
Don't take care of yourselves.
Yes.
That's it.
You know how we always say, be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself.
That's you. You got to be kind to yourself first. Otherwise, you're just going to be a monster to everybody. You got to be kind to yourself, and you got to be kind to.
In my opinion, self-love is best love.
It's true. There it is. Here we be. My friend Amanda, also, my lovely friend Amanda, whom I host a podcast with called XOXO, a Gossip Girl podcast, by the way, in case you didn't know. It's about Gossip Girl, so it's a niche podcast, but it's amazing. My friend Amanda says, I don't cosplay, but I really admire people like the two of you who do. It takes so much time and effort. Keep up the good work, everyone. And it's those sorts of comments that, like, at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, that's right. Well, that's why we do it. That's why we like doing it. Because we're like, oh, we do a thing that not necessarily everybody can do, and that feels good to a degree. Again, if you are saying that you're a cosplayer and on some level you don't enjoy some of the accolades, I don't know how honest we're being. Let's see. Any other?
If anybody says, oh, well, I just cosplayed a cosplay, you're full of shit.
Yeah. There can be other reasons.
Oh, there could absolutely be other reasons.
Definitely.
The attention is nice, though. I'm not going to lie.
No, the attention's cool. And it makes you feel like all of that work, like, people are recognizing it. People are recognizing it. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, do we have anything more to say on the topic?
If anybody has any extra comments that they would like to add, I mean, we are at the 50-minute mark. We have,
let's see.
We have whatchamacallit.
I liked this comment from Kat that says, kill everyone on Overwatch. Helps me with cosplay stress.
I mean, yes.
That's true. Whatever works. For you. Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
helps you to de-stress.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that scream into pillows, punch things, go work out, go do what they have to do.
Yep.
Whatever helps at the end of the day.
Yes, and Kat yelled, hey, I cosplay just to cosplay. Lol. Let's see.
Wait, I finally made it on a live one. Congratulations, Christy Lynn.
Oh, Christy Lynn. Both Christy Lynn and Tiffany are here. I feel so blessed. I really do. And what I was saying earlier, and when I had forgotten, was Tiffany, who is here, is the master of cosplay budgeting. And that's another thing. Try to figure out new ways for you to make it easier for yourself. Reflect after a convention. Be like, what stressed me out before this convention? Like, was it that I mismanaged my time? Was it that I felt like I didn't have enough money? Was it like, try to look back. For me, it's almost always time management. It's almost always time management. Yeah.
My biggest problem is when I have it in my head that I want to make a cosplay.
Yeah.
And then I make the cosplay.
Yeah.
And I'm 6-7 months ahead of myself.
Uh-huh.
And by the time the convention rolls around, I've either gained or lost X amount of weight.
Oh, no!
Where it's just like, oh, good. I didn't need to fit into this, not at all.
Oh, see, and I can't remember the last time that I had a cosplay that was done, like, in a, like, not even a month. I don't think I've ever had a cosplay that was done a month before a convention, unless I was re-wearing. That was it. Unless
you were re-wearing and you needed to adjust.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But yes, at the end of the day, be kind to yourselves.
Yeah.
Understand your limits.
Yep.
Don't push yourself any harder than you have to.
Yeah.
We love you. We want you to stick around, and we do not want cosplay to stress you out to the point of
quitting cosplay, of driving yourself insane,
yes.
of any of these things, of feeling like you're lesser of a cosplayer than anybody else. Nobody is more of a cosplayer than anybody else. Again, if you've cosplayed once this year, you're a cosplayer. If you cosplayed 7 times.
Well, I mean, I don't know very many people that have cosplayed this year, since we're only 3 days into it.
Honestly, I'm sure that there are people out there, especially those crazy Californians. It's not cold. It's not cold where they are. They out there doing them shoots, getting them Polaroids. That's it. They've cosplayed. They have 12 cosplays done by now, Tom. We are behind.
Wow, that was perfect. That was perfect. As Evra, our cosplayer of the week this week is Miss Rae Cosplay. And do we fangirl over her?
I love her desperately.
What a beautiful voice she has.
Oh, she does have a beautiful voice.
Beautiful
I know.
Voice.
Yeah, if you're not following her on Instagram, just follow her. Like, if you're not into cosplay, follow for her singing voice, because her singing voice is amazing. And her cat. Her cat is very cute.
I mean, her cat should be on Instagram all the time.
All the time. And most of the time is. Which is great. Most of the time is. No, she's a very talented cosplayer.
And such a sweetheart.
Yeah, and again,
she's such a darling
we try to really go out of our way to cut to a lot of the people that we've featured are people that we know. One, because we also really like to shout out people who we know are lights in the community, that are people that are not only talents, but that are really positive people in the community. And
we like role models.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And she's one of them. She's so cool and so awesome. That's it.
Did I say that loud enough?
I don't know. I don't think so. Nothing's ever loud enough for me.
Same.
That's it.
But I mean, that is one of the things that we do with cosplayers of the week. We always focus on people that sort of lift.
Yeah.
The community in some way
completely.
Or another.
Yep.
But oh wow, we are just.
Oh yes, another excellent choice, says Nate. Hi Nate. All of these things. Oh gosh, I'm looking. Just more. Everybody, look in these comments if you want some good tips for what we've been talking about today. Melissa has some good tips. Chrissy Lynn said time management. And yeah, we love Miss Rae. We think she's a good pick as well. She's been on our to-do list of cosplayers. Don't make this a thing. How dare you? How dare you twist my words like that? I mean, but hey,
it's what I'm.
But hello. Not that she isn't beautiful. She is.
Oh, she's so
inside and out. She really is.
I am envious of her black cat wig.
Oh,
envious of it.
And that's another thing. She's one of those cosplayers that is incredible with wigs too. She does all of her own wig work and all that sort of stuff. And
her wigs are timeless.
Her wigs are so great. Yeah, they're that is a thing. That is a skill that I do not have as a cosplayer yet. I have to work on.
I wouldn't know where to begin when it comes to
listen, I haven't done this. Okay? All right?
Let she who is without sin cast the first stone.
Wow.
I have no hair, you do.
I know, but I just that was just nice. I was just Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Ms. Rae is our cosplayer of the week.
Yes.
We want you all to be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another.
Yeah.
Treat each other with respect. You'll
Treat
get it back
yourself with
tenfold.
respect.
Karma is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I have to say on the subject.
Yeah.
Are we ready to
We're ready
to say goodbye?
We're going.
I feel like we've chewed your ears off far too much.
That's it. We need a goodbye song. Like, that's it. That's just begins. That's, we'll work on it.
When they begin the begin.
It's a work in progress.
Ciao meow for now, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.